It's my pleasure to introduce an innovator whose leadership bridges medicine, technology, and entrepreneurship. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Wilbur Lamb, who is also a fellow. He is the professor and W. Paul Bowers Research Chair in the Department of Pediatrics and the Wallace H. Coulter Department of Biomedical Engineering, Aflac Cancer and Blood Disorders Center at Children's Healthcare of Atlanta. Stay with me. There's a lot. This is the longest. It's awesome. Director of the Center for the Advancement of Diagnostics for a Just Society, the Adjust Center. Co-director of the Pediatric Technology Center, Associate Dean of Innovation at Emory University School of Medicine, and Vice Provost for Entrepreneurship at Emory University. Please give a warm welcome to Dr. Lamb.
Emory is limitless.
Emory is growth, discovery, and opportunity.
Emory is belonging.
Emory is curious, inviting, engaging, and a place that has a unique energy among its students.
I think the students here are just really kind, and they care about each other.
Seeing Emory and its beautiful architecture, as well as the family that everybody seems to have here, really pushed me to want to go and want to apply.
Here at Emory, we collaborate on groundbreaking research to make an impact on the world.
Emory is setting me up for success because of the faculty here and the way they invest in our students.
Professors at Emory just seem to really care about you. They're interested in what you're interested in and try to cultivate your skills and talents.
You have this rural Oxford University experience, and then you have the major metropolitan city that provides students incredible opportunities.
Together, we are making an impact on Atlanta and the rest of the world.
Wow, okay, thank you. I think I'm done. I could step down now, right? Seriously, that's the first time I saw that myself. So thank you for having me. The NIA is an amazing organization. I was fortunately just elected myself last year. It's an amazing organization that you guys have. And we here at Emory are very honored to be one of your host institutions for this year. Welcome to Atlanta. Welcome to Georgia. I think that's the Georgia flag, so I should probably know that. But welcome. We're really glad to have you. So, as was explained, I wear a few hats here in Atlanta at Emory University. I serve as the Vice Provost for Entrepreneurship, as well as the Associate Dean for Innovation at the medical school. And my daughter saw this slide, and she asked, so, Dad, how do you get roped into all that? I said, that's a really good question. So why am I here? So it's a question I ask myself, quite a bit. How my own career incorporated invention, incorporated innovation, and so forth. But at the end of the day, it was really about me wanting to solve problems for my patients. I'm a pediatric hematologist, oncologist, and what we've done is a few things. So in my own lab, we've started 4 startup companies, and my very first startup company was formed when my own kid had quite a bit of ear infections, and when I was still in the training at the time. And I remember, my wife would say, "Oh wow, he's got ear infections all the time. We have to go to the emergency room unless." Wait, you're a pediatrician, right? And then I started seeing my own kid and writing antibiotic prescriptions for him every couple of weeks because he had so many ear infections. And then my wife turned to me and said, "Well, what does a family without a pediatrician do?" I say, "Well, they go to the emergency room." She goes, "Wow, that really sucks." I said, "Yeah." And then she said, "But luckily I have you." I said, "Yeah, it's true." And then she said, probably first and only time in my marriage, I'm really glad I'm married to you, right? Because I was able to do it. But that actually was the spark that let us say, oh, well, can we actually help parents, diagnose remotely kids' ear infections? That led to my first startup company, which was ultimately acquired by Johnson & Johnson a few years ago. Now, if you ask my mom what I do, she can't tell you I'm a pediatric hematologist oncologist. She certainly doesn't know what Vice Provost for Entrepreneurship means. But what she does say is that, well, he at least did something that was on TV, right? So what you see there is our ear scope that was, our smartphone ear scope that was brought onto the Stephen Colbert show. And this is back when he was acting, right? He had that, it was the Colbert Report, right? When he had that ultra-conservative character. But his producer knew that his left eardrum was ruptured. So that's when our device got to go on TV. Anyway, all this is to say is that invention and being an inventor is certainly ingrained in my own DNA. And one of my own more recent startups, Sanguina up there, we recently developed a way to estimate whether someone has anemia or not just by taking pictures of what we call a fingernail selfie. It's been downloaded and used 1.5 million times now. So this is what really is exciting for me, and what I've been doing now for the last several years is really enabling our own ecosystem to help students, faculty, staff, embark on these adventures as well. So, but to do that, for an institution to really be a place for innovation, you ultimately need a foundation of research. And luckily at Emory, we have that. We have right there, you can see we get a good amount of federal funding. Hopefully that doesn't change, we'll see. We are also a place where we have developed quite a bit of therapeutics. That is an area of strength of ours and an area where we'll continue in that domain. And we luckily have a lot of great faculty that have gone on to win multiple accolades, many of whom are in the room, many of whom are FNAI members themselves. So this foundation of fundamental research is what's needed, as many of you agree, so that you have the innovations from which they can birth out of. Right? So, some of the examples that we have, again, a lot of therapeutics. Emory has done an amazing job, getting new drugs to market, whether it's for immune system modulation, antivirals. It's certainly a big strength of ours. And we're starting to get into medical diagnostics, starting to get into other aspects of robotics and medical devices. So that remains, but therapies remain a core area of competency, at least in terms of invention here at Emory. So when I think of innovation, entrepreneurship, and invention, what our office often is trying to figure out is, well, what's the most necessary thing here? And I think pipeline, many of you would agree, right? And when I say pipeline, it's pipeline not only of the ideas and technologies themselves, right? We need a lot of great fundamental research that ultimately leads to technological solutions that need to be then de-risked until they can create some type of return on investment so that private sector can come and work with the university. But there's another type of pipeline, of course, pipeline of people. And that's something that we're actually very focused on as well. So when I mean people, I don't just mean people who are entrepreneurship, but I mean people of all different stages who might be entrepreneurs, whether it's the very seasoned faculty who's formed several startup companies, who's developed tens of drugs, many of whom we have those types of people at Emory, all the way into the other end, right? We have now a good amount of undergraduates who are very innovative, and what we're trying to do is really cultivate, nurture, those students. So we have a physical space called the Hatchery that is meant to allow students to be innovators. They're taught certain skills that you guys would imagine, how to do customer discovery, how to develop a prototype, how to work with investors, the business side of things. But also, as many of you would agree, it's getting your hands dirty. So this is also the place where they form their own startups. And we're very excited about this. In fact, we just announced that we have this building that's kind of off campus. We're moving it closer to campus the next year. So the Hatchery is this locus of student involvement and student innovation that we're very invested in and we continue to be so. A few examples of really brilliant students that have come out of the Hatchery and really shows you the different types of domains that our students come from. So, and often they come from several different ones. So Erica is not only from the medical school, but she also just got her MBA. She just formed a company in which she is working with pharma companies who are developing cell and gene therapies for sickle cell disease, but what she's found is that there's a big pain point in terms of there aren't really great metrics, biomarkers, of whether or not these things are working. So she's developing a clinical lab to work directly with pharma to kind of help them assess with new assays whether their therapies are working. Omid is not only a graduate student, but also a nurse. He has come up with a way to, this AI-based platform to help address the nursing labor issues, and it's already gained quite a bit of traction. And Emilio is an undergrad. In fact, he's a liberal arts major. And he's developed a company where, and I just talked to him a few weeks ago, revenue generating already. He hooks up really brilliant interns with startup companies. And he knows that startup companies have to be nimble. So what he does is he hooks up student interns who are wanting to work with tech startups and connects them. And I think he said that this is just an undergrad who's doing this in his dorm room, but he generates at least $20K a month, he said. And I said, wow. So yeah, I'm actually asking the development staff to, you should probably get him to be a donor, like probably next year, right? Okay, so let's move on to our pipeline, right? As we have ideas that have been germinated, maybe they're students. Also on the biomedical side, so we have a new building, our HSRB 2 building, Health Sciences Research 2 building. The entire first floor is dedicated to things related to innovation. We have a VR center, we have a place for prototyping. That's also our incubator space. I'll go over that in a little bit. So all on the same floor. We have our incubators that are for our Emory startups. We have rapid prototyping facilities for places for new companies, faculty. They're just kind of germinating their idea. They have a little gadget, a little widget. Well, we can make, we can prototype. We can make hundreds of them, and just enough to kind of say, yeah, we're starting to think of how this could be manufacturable. And then 3D printing, of course. We are actually getting into and have a very great cellular bio 3D printing facility where we're starting to make, for example, cellular engineered cardiac valves, heart valves. So we're starting to do that both for education, but all the way towards innovation as well, and starting to do this with startup companies. So all of this is within one of our medical school buildings, and as we kind of progress through the pipeline. One, I think, hidden gem of ours at Emory is our School of Nursing. And our School of Nursing has a lot of great innovators. And it's something I think sometimes we forget in biomedical innovation about how much the nurses actually bring to the table when it comes to solving medical problems. And it makes sense, right? I'm a physician, but when I see a patient, I see them, when I do rounds, I see them 5 minutes, and then they're gone. A nurse actually is with that patient in the hospital all the time. And they are the front and center, right? They're the first line when it comes to medical problems. And it turns out that a lot of these nursing students have brilliant ideas of how to create a new medical device, how to create some type of technology that makes the patient's life easier, or maybe it's even a process. So all of this is intellectual property. And so what we're trying to do is really harness this intellectual power and innovation power in the School of Nursing. And what School of Nursing has is a gigantic simulation center. It's actually in a city in Decatur, which is a few miles away. Actually, I live there, so actually I got to walk to this place, this simulation center. It's beautiful. It's an entire clinic. You'd walk in and you'd think you're in a clinic or a hospital, an emergency room, but it's all fake. It's amazing. They have dummies there, and what they're starting to do that I think is brilliant is they're starting to work with industry, because this could be where they put in some of their prototypes. They test, for example, human factors, usability, how well does it link into the electronic medical health record. It's a beautiful center. It's the largest simulation center that any School of Nursing has. Again, one of our real kind of hidden gems that I, as Vice Provost, am trying to elevate over the next few years. And then if we think about pipeline, again, how does the university take these inventions and de-risk them more in-house so that it can create more value when it does exit? So we've created three actually programs that I call kind of our venture-like programs within Emory. We have one that is dedicated to antivirals. I told you that's a strength of ours. We'll continue to do that. Another that's more generically for any type of drug development, so the Emory Drug Development Fund. And then we have EBFI, the Emory Biofoundry Institute. So that's for medical devices. So these three programs we have within Emory, it's embedded in this program called Emory Innovations, Inc. And the whole goal is for us to de-risk as much as possible. So we have directors of all three of these programs that act like a GP in a VC, and they're trying to figure out which of our innovations are worth investing in. So this is a way for the university to actually invest in its own inventions in-house, de-risk it as much as possible, and then obviously when it exits, it has a better return for the university. So it's a novel few mechanisms that we just started in the last couple of years that we're really proud of, and we're hoping, and we're already starting. There's a few deals that have already been made with all three of these programs. And then what I'll end is obviously our inventors themselves. So we have a few great cases of biomedical innovators that span different domains. One, James Dahlman is one of our leading experts in creating nanoparticle-based RNA therapies. Ned Waller is developing really great ways to kind of train immune cells, T cells, a certain subset of immune cells to attack cancers. And Rashida is developing a platform, and multiple platforms actually, to help patients, often women who are pregnant and so forth. She's created different digital platforms. But really, this is just an example, 3 examples of faculty innovation that we're currently often trying to cultivate more and more. I think we're doing a decent job, and I really think that we here at Emory will be able to really amplify and accelerate a lot of these innovators that are coming from all walks of life, again, all different stages, students, faculty, even staff members. And with these infrastructures that we now have in place, we're really excited about where things are going to lead to. So thank you very much, and again, welcome to Atlanta. Thank you.